So I always watch these videos of these guys doing park walks, and they're gonna go build their big shelter in the woods, and it's always like a good 2-3 minutes of a dude walking through the forest, and you see fleeting shots of them, and they never seem to notice that the camera's been placed before. It's not the first time they're going. I don't know why, I just always found it so funny. I mean, it's great, cinematically beautiful, but I always found it kind of hilarious, and I always wanted to do a spoof version. So the Fujifilm XS-20 has very quickly become one of the best mid-range cameras of 2023. What they did is they took a whole bunch of the really good things from the XS10, the form factor, all those kind of things, and they fixed a bunch of its mistakes. I wouldn't say mistakes, I would maybe call them shortcomings. They've actually gone and really improved the XS-20 for both photographers and videographers alike. Why did I choose this angle? I cannot see a dang thing. It's fine, it's fine. I've got some notes on my phone. So the funny thing is, actually, I have filmed this intro, or a version of this intro, maybe 3 or 4 times. I think this is the 4th or the 5th time. So many things have gone wrong. Long story short, the legends over at Fujifilm South Africa sent the XS-20 out for me to play around with for a couple of days. Those few days ended up being some of the worst weather we've had in Cape Town for a few years, just non-stop dribble drabble rain. On top of that, I was incredibly sick.
Leonard! Leonard, I'm sick!
I had one day, literally one day, to play with the camera, and I would actually compress that or condense it down into maybe 3-4 hours. So long story short, I had the XS-20 out with me as a backup camera on a shoot that I did for a house. So I got called out to go do a real estate shoot, and when I was there, they said, hey, can you throw some video together? So I was like, cool, let me use the XS-20, see how good it is. Let me take some shots with the XS-20. Now, it needs to be stipulated, I do own an XS10, and I do also own a Fujifilm Xh2s, which I'm shooting on now. So it wasn't drastically different. It wasn't super hard for me to go across to it. So I needed to make a decision. How can I portray this camera in the way that Fujifilm seemed to be portraying it? And that is more of a, you know, set it and forget it vlogger camera. So I shot in pretty much all auto mode. I cheated a bit. I went into program auto. So I was kind of just setting my shutter speed and leaving it. Played around a tiny bit with aperture priority as well. I never went full auto. I threw on my Tamron 18-300mm lens to see what it's like, you know, to kind of compare the real affordable big zoom lens and wide angle lens and all those things. And then I obviously tested it with my 16-80 XF lens, and I had fantastic success. I figured, let me just show you a couple of the clips that I tried. So the very first clip I did, which was my best one by far, is on the day I had the XS-20. I didn't plug my microphone in properly. So hello and welcome to my channel. I'm good at what I do. I do a lot of this, you know, not making mistakes. The second time I came out, the second time I tried to shoot with it, actually I lied, the second time I tried to film the intro was with the Xh2s, and it was fine, but I was shooting on the Tamron 18-300mm lens, and I was facing in that direction, and I somehow changed my focus setting. So the first half of the video was cool. The second half, where I kind of dived, dang nabbit, when I dove into the meat and the potatoes, you know, of what the XS-20 has to offer and how I think it works and operates as a vlogging camera and a mid-range affordable but awesome camera that you can use for everything you want, it was all out of focus, and you can't use out of focus footage. So I figured, let me throw on the Tamron 18-300, which I also think is a very cool, versatile traveling lens, which may go well with this camera, and let me come and take a couple of photos of, I don't know actually what I'm going to take photos of, but just take photos of chameleons and random birds and a couple of trees. So I've set the camera up right this time, and here we are. I wanted to say, I'm a little bit confused by the XS-20. So obviously I've had a few more weeks to kind of think about what I did with the camera and to look at what the camera is offering and what the camera's advertised to do and all these things. And one thing that I'm struggling with is why why have they said it's, you know, it's a fantastic vlogger camera? Why haven't they said it's actually a very, very, very good video camera? We have 4K up to 60 frames per second, and we also have 6.2K open gate, compressed or external RAW, which for me, pairing that with Fujifilm's updated autofocus systems means it's a very, very, very good and affordable, almost entry-level cinema camera. I'm not saying it's a cinema camera, but I'm saying you could be very cinematic with it. You can shoot your 17:9, I think. There's a kite. Not the flying kite, well, they both fly, but there was a kite over there that just landed. Let's come talk for a second. So I figured to myself, how can I, as Alex or Southlight Media, use the Fujifilm XS-20 in a way that I could showcase its flexibility. So I can showcase how good it is as a photo camera, that you can use as a professional photo camera. You can maybe, I mean, you can use it for weddings, you could use it for studio work, you could use it for product photography. It's bloody fantastic. But I also wanted to show how you could use it as a vlogging camera, as well as how you could use it for maybe things like real estate, which is slow motion. So I shot this little house in 4K 60, did a couple of slow pans. I had no gimbal with me because I wasn't actually booked to shoot video. So I just used the camera strap from my other camera, tied it around and did the pulling of it. It's a stiff trick that everyone knows about. And here's what that looks like. It's a really nice day. Kind of wonder I should go surf. Hi, welcome back. That was the video cinematic clip that I did. Another thing I want to talk about, which I'm actually very happy about, is the fact that the XS-20 now has enough space to house the new MP235 battery, 235 battery. I literally practiced this. The MP235 battery, which, dang it, it's got a new battery grip, slightly bigger battery grip, just tiny little bit battery grip, which allows it to accommodate Fujifilm's newer MP235 battery, which is the one that's in all of the new cameras, XE4s, all the whatever. It's fine. It's not the small battery that was in the XS10, which gave you about 350 to 450 shots. I think you can get about probably 800 to 850 shots out of it. Fantastic, because there's nothing worse than changing batteries midway through filming video. Funny enough, so I used the XS-20 for a couple of hours. Shot black and white, shot Eterna, made a Contra Portrait Pro, whatever it is, like setting on the camera to kind of crush the highlights and bring up the shadows a bit, and played around with that. And here are some of the results of that, and I'll put it over my voice. But what I wanted to say is, Fujifilm with the XS-20, they've taken the best out of the XS10, the form factor, the easeability of use, the fact that you can throw it in your carry-on luggage and go overseas with it. Like, they've taken that, and then they've taken some fantastic things from the X-T4. You know, it's got the same sensor, it's got the 26 megapixels, it's got all the things, and then they've taken some of the new deep AI learning autofocus stuff and they've added that in, and they've given you 4K 60 frames, and they've given you 6.2 open gate should you be that way inclined, and they've just meshed it together in a bloody beautiful little housing, and it's so good. I don't know how to articulate the fact that if I had not got my XS10 and I was buying a Fuji today, I didn't have my Xh2s, sorry, and I was buying a Fuji today, I would almost definitely just get the XS20. It does almost everything I need and more. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't do the big 40 frame per second burst, which is why I needed the Xh2s, because I'm a motorsport photographer. Well, that's my really quick, really rough, really distracted review of the XS20. Like I said, I've actually done this video a few times now. The last version has been sitting on YouTube for 3 weeks, and I didn't know that there was copyright strikes to the point that it hadn't loaded. I don't know where the copyright strikes came from. So I pulled that down, decided let me redo it, and you know what? Thank you Fujifilm for sending me the camera. I look forward to working with you more in the future, and I promise I'm not usually this all over the place. Goodbye. I'll see you guys in the next video.